Hello, this is Julia from Avatar Academy, and today we're going to talk about a situation that almost every serious English learner experiences at some point. You listen to podcasts, interviews, and conversations in English. You understand almost everything. The ideas are clear. The vocabulary makes sense. You even think to yourself, yes, I get this. But when it's your turn to speak, you cannot talk the same way. Your sentences feel shorter, simpler, and less natural, and this gap can feel confusing and frustrating. The first thing you need to understand is that understanding and speaking are two very different skills. Listening is a receptive skill. Your brain receives information and recognizes patterns. Speaking is a productive skill. Your brain must create language in real time. These two processes use different mental pathways. That's why being good at listening does not automatically mean you will sound fluent when you speak. When you listen to a podcast, your brain has support. The speaker chooses the words, controls the speed, and organizes the ideas. Your brain follows along. But when you speak, all of that responsibility shifts to you. You must choose the words, structure the sentence, control pronunciation, and manage your emotions at the same time. This is much more demanding, especially at a B1-B2 level. Another important reason is passive exposure. Many learners listen a lot, which is great, but they listen passively. They enjoy the content, they understand it, and then they move on. The brain becomes very good at recognition, but it does not practice retrieval. Speaking requires you to pull words and structures out of memory without help. If you never train that process, your brain simply doesn't get faster at it. There is also the issue of compression. Podcast speakers usually speak in long, connected ideas. They use transitions, fillers, and natural rhythm. Learners often understand these patterns, but they do not practice producing them. Instead, they focus on individual sentences. As a result, their speech sounds broken, even though their understanding is strong. Fluency is not about knowing more words. It is about connecting ideas smoothly, the way you hear them. Emotional pressure also plays a big role. When you listen, there is no risk. No one is judging you. No one is waiting for your answer. But when you speak, the pressure appears immediately. You become aware of your accent, your mistakes, and your pauses. This self-monitoring blocks access to language. That's why many learners say, "I know what I want to say, but I can't say it." The knowledge is there, the access is not. Another reason is imitation without ownership. You may hear beautiful phrases in podcasts and think, that sounds great. But if you never use those phrases yourself, they remain external. They belong to the speaker, not to you. Language becomes yours only when you use it, misuse it, adjust it, and repeat it in different situations. Until then, it stays in listening mode. It's also important to mention speed. Podcast speakers speak faster than learners can think, but speed is not the real difference. The real difference is automation. The speaker does not build sentences word by word. They use chunks, patterns, and habits. Learners often understand these chunks but still build sentences slowly. This gap closes only through active use, not more listening alone. So, what should you do if you understand podcasts but cannot speak like them? First, change the goal of listening. Do not listen only to understand. Listen to notice. Notice how ideas start, how they continue, how speakers react, and how they fill silence. Second, take small pieces of language and reuse them, not perfectly, but naturally. Third, accept that your speaking level will always lag behind your listening level. This is normal. Progress happens when you reduce the gap, not when you eliminate it completely. Most importantly, stop comparing your speaking to native or advanced speakers. They are not your mirror. They are your input. Your job is not to sound like them today. Your job is to sound better than your past self. Every time you speak, even imperfectly, you train the skill that listening alone cannot train. If you are listening to this and thinking, "This explains exactly my problem," then you are not stuck. You are simply at a stage where listening has moved faster than speaking, and that is a good problem to have, because it means your input is strong. Now it's time to balance it with output. If you want to work on this more deeply, you'll find a worksheet for this episode in our Telegram group with practical exercises that help turn listening knowledge into speaking ability. You'll also find our Instagram link in the description for daily content that supports your progress. This was Julia from Avatar Academy. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.